Tonight on To The Point.
We just want to stop what's happening now before it's too late.
Neighbors fighting rezoning for low-income housing. Why Placer County is pushing for it. Plus, big city mayors asking state lawmakers for big money to address homelessness. What they say more funding could do. What's next as protests shut down colleges across California in a national day of action. And could a tax solve housing problems in Tahoe? And why it could be on the November ballot.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. And we start tonight with a story that we first brought you last month. Placer County residents do not want low-income housing in their backyards. Tonight, that fight is growing. As ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen reports, residents are taking their frustrations to the county.
It's a wonderful community. It's right next to Folsom Lake. We love the rural lifestyle.
There's no place like home in Granite Bay for Donna Hogue.
We have the best of both worlds. We're close to the freeway, yet we have all the outdoor living.
The same goes for Cheryl Berkema. This plot of land at the intersection of Auburn, Folsom Road and Fuller Drive is a little slice of peace for both women, and they're trying to keep it that way.
To change it into 3- and 4-story buildings, housing a lot of people that we don't think it's fair to the people that they're attempting to bring in.
Placer County officials are looking for 19 more properties to rezone for high-density, low-income housing as part of their Housing Needs Rezone program. The county must find more places for this kind of housing in order to keep local control of its land and to have access to grant funding for local programs and initiatives. This spot in Granite Bay is on their program's list.
It is home to bald eagles. It is a salmon habitat. There's deer that are seen in here regularly, so ecologically it doesn't make sense.
This morning, both women and dozens of other people rallied in front of the county's administration building, demanding the county to stop rezoning these properties to residential multifamily.
My biggest concern is their environmental impact report that determines whether there's any substantial impact to the area.
The county's planning director tells ABC 10 it is finalizing a detailed presentation on this rezone program, and it will still have to go before the Board of Supervisors before anything can move forward. Until then, these women say they will continue to fight.
We just want to stop what's happening now before it's too late.
All right, and Jeannie was out there all day talking to people, and we know that this has a few more steps that still needs to go through, like the Board of Supervisors, right?
Alex, well, before it goes to the Board of Supervisors, it still needs to go to the Planning Commission, and this Thursday, that will be the next meeting at 9 a.m., and that's where residents can voice their concerns with public comment. The county is also expecting the Planning Commission to recommend something to the Board of Supervisors this week as well.
So still a long journey to go, right?
Exactly. Yes.
All right, Jeannie, thank you so much. All right, happening right now, a live look inside the Stockton Unified School Board meeting. This is the first time they are meeting since the arrest of trustee and former president Angel Ann Flores. Flores was arrested following an investigation into theft of public funds and insurance fraud. She's accused of using the district-issued credit card to spend more than $950. Right now, she faces 4 felony charges. Her attorney has called the arrest political retaliation. And we have a crew at tonight's meeting, and we'll have more coming up on Late News tonight at 11 as we continue to follow what's happening. Tonight, Fairfield police are looking for information about a possible hit and run that left 1 person dead. Officers say a person was found around 1 a.m. near Air Base Parkway and Wiley Lane. They say the person was hit by a car, but no one was around. So officials have not yet released any information about the person or the car involved. But if you do know anything about what happened, make sure that you call the Fairfield Police Department.
What do we want? Hearing. When do we want it? Now.
All right, so you see right there, dozens of people showed up to the Capitol today for National Crime Victims' Rights Week. This year, the call to action is accountability to prevent what happened to them from happening to others, but also accountability for what they say are billions of dollars in the criminal justice system that is not going to benefit victims and victim services.
We need to make sure that our loved ones are not on social media begging for coin to lay their loved ones to rest with a GoFundMe.
That's right. Say that.
We need to make sure that when someone says they're in danger, they don't have to jump through a bunch of hoops to be relocated with their loved ones. Yes.
And this year, the group is asking to increase legal protections for victims. So direct cash assistance for survivors of crime and expanding the number of trauma recovery centers. Mayors representing California's biggest cities, including Sacramento and Stockton, they joined forces today to ask for $1 billion for homelessness. And this money is normally in the state budget, but it didn't make the cut in the latest version. ABC 10's Devin Truby joins us from the Capitol with more on why they are asking for such a large amount of money.
Housing and shelter beds. That's the main reason the cities want this money, Alex, saying that cities were set up for basic infrastructure, not for handling a humanitarian crisis, and that if they don't get this money, all the progress they've made, it's going to be lost.
Mayors from the largest cities in California, including Sacramento and Stockton, came together to ask the state for $1 billion for homelessness, led by San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria.
15,772 temporary and permanent homeless shelter beds. We have collectively served 149,851 people.
Cities have been receiving this money since 2018. Homelessness Housing Assistance and Prevention, or HAP, what would be the sixth round of funding, is not in the proposed budget.
We are here to urge state leaders to fully fund HAP Round 6 at no less than $1 billion. Perhaps more importantly, we are asking state decision makers to make this funding permanent.
Sacramento Mayor Darrell Steinberg was the head of big city mayors when they made the unprecedented ask for homeless funding 7 years ago. But this year, these mayors are asking for more money while the state faces more than a $50 million budget deficit.
The last thing, even during difficult budget time, the state ought to do is to go backwards on the most pressing issue and most pressing crisis.
Stockton Mayor Kevin Lincoln echoing Steinberg, saying it's difficult to move forward with housing and shelter projects, not knowing if the funding will be there.
Through the HAP funding, we've been able to build 10 emergency shelters, 9 permanent housing projects.
The mayors are making this request after the passing of Prop 1, which put restrictions on how local governments spend money towards homelessness. It also took some funding from local government and gave it to the state. Mayor Steinberg says he's glad it passed.
Keeping the HAP funding, continuing it, eventually growing it, adding it to Prop 1 is essential if we're going to meet the rightful demands of the people in our cities to make this problem better.
The mayors say if they don't get the funding, there will not be enough money in their city's budgets to cover the shortfall.
At the press conference, I asked about accountability, that mayors are asking for more money after a state audit revealed that cities are struggling to track their homeless funds and progress. The mayors said they're committed to accountability and they'll provide whatever data is needed, Alex.
All right, thank you, Devin. And that audit said the state spent $24 billion to tackle homelessness over the past 5 years, but how that money was spent was not well tracked. And it was a somber day in Grass Valley as the entire city gathered to honor a World War II veteran who died at his home. He was born on September 13th, 1921. Louis Anthony Conter was also better known as Lou, and he is the last living survivor of the USS Arizona battleship that exploded and sank during the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor. And he retired from the Navy after 28 years of service in 1967. Friends said today that they're not just honoring Lou, but the thousands who lost their lives on the shores of Pearl Harbor.
Specifically those that did not come home, the over 400,000 and his 1,177 shipmates that perished on December 7th, that Lou says they were the real heroes, the ones that gave their lives for the freedoms that we have in our country today.
And Lou leaves behind 5 sons, a daughter and a stepson. He also had 11 grandchildren, 20 great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren. Still ahead onto the point, college campuses shutting down after days of protest. What happens next?
We are tracking multiple areas of showers for today, as well as that cooler breeze coming in, how long it sticks around.
Plus, a witness back on the stand in Trump's hush money trial, what he's saying about the plan to help Trump become president. And later in the show, a new tax in Tahoe could be on the November ballot, why proponents think it could help with housing problems. All right, Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods with our forecast. Cooling down, a little windy today,
oh, yeah,
but not
certainly.
bad.
The winds have changed, right? We're going to take a look at how those temperatures dropped dramatically over the past 24 hours. This is exactly what we were expecting. That weather system was going to pull towards the coast, bring in that onshore flow. So yesterday's high, 86 degrees, average is 74. We sit below average right now and for the coming days as well. We're down right now about 10 to 20 degrees from where we were yesterday at this time, putting our temperatures in the 60s and 70s for the valley, 50s and 60s for the foothills, and close to 55 degrees for the Tahoe Basin. This evening's weather will still have those southwest winds at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Temperatures falling into the 50s overnight with that low at 52. That's how we'll start off tomorrow morning. Now, we'll see a few of those showers and thunderstorms reappear for the Sierra for tomorrow, but the bigger weather system is still looming just up to the north of us. That's the one that brings more widespread rain showers and snow for the Sierra, with that cooler blast of air coming in for the end of the week. Most of the heaviest rain is going to be on the east side of the state because the low pressure system really is going to be parked off to the east of us. And so it's just that counterclockwise circulation and the rotation bringing more in the way of precipitation from, let's say, Roseville through Placerville and Pollock Pines, as well as snowfall coming in at about 1 to 3 inches. Certainly not a huge whopper of a storm, but more of a nuisance one to end out the work week. But we've got a dry weekend in store for us. So we'll see those showers and cooler temperatures sticking around for the end of the work and school week. By the weekend, we're starting that warming trend with sunny skies and highs back in the 70s.
Next, on To the Point, Trump on trial, what a tabloid publisher is saying about his efforts to help the ex-president in the 2016 election. Plus, taxing empty homes in South Lake Tahoe, why the change could be on this November's ballot. And a new bill could prevent drivers from speeding, the tech it could bring to our roads. Tonight, in the hush money payment trial of former President Donald Trump, the first witness was back on the stand for another day of testimony, and things got combative in the courtroom.
David Pecker, a longtime friend of Trump and the former publisher of the National Enquirer, back on the stand today, admitting that he was the eyes and ears of the Trump campaign ahead of the 2016 election. Pecker testifying that he told Trump and Cohen, quote, "If I hear anything about women selling stories, I would notify Michael Cohen."
Of course, what David Pecker is saying on the stand was something Donald Trump never wanted anybody to know. That any time a damaging story came to his attention via other sources or from Donald Trump or Michael Cohen, he was in agreement that he would catch those stories, kill them, pay the person off, and make it go away.
Trump shaking his head in court today as Pecker testified about a false story from a Trump Tower doorman in 2015, claiming Trump fathered an illegitimate child with a maid at the building. Pecker testifying he ultimately bought the story for $30,000, even though Michael Cohen was adamant it wasn't true. Prosecutors say Pecker told Trump that adult film actress Stormy Daniels had a story that could turn into a sex scandal. At Trump's direction, prosecutors say his fixer, Michael Cohen, wired Daniels $130,000. And then, to hide the true nature of the payment, Trump allegedly decided Cohen's reimbursement should be recorded as legal services. Pecker also allegedly promising to publish positive stories about Mr. Trump and publish negative stories about his opponents. Pecker says prior to the election, his magazines never caught and killed any stories for Trump. Trump has denied any sexual relationship with Daniels and has pleaded not guilty to falsifying business records. Trump slamming the case outside of court today.
We have a gag order, which to me is totally unconstitutional. I'm not allowed to talk, but people are allowed to talk about me.
And that gag order that Trump is talking about, prosecutors have accused him of violating it. The judge held a contempt hearing on Tuesday morning that got heated, ultimately saying that he would not rule from the bench. Now to the growing unrest on college campuses across the country amid protests over the Israel-Hamas war. More than a dozen UC Berkeley students spent the day in tents in what's being called Free Palestine encampments. It's in solidarity with students at other universities. Cal Poly Humboldt closed their campus today as protesters barricaded themselves overnight inside a building. And across the country in New York, police in riot gear dismantled an encampment. They arrested people accused of ignoring a deadline to disperse. At nearby Columbia University, protests are on their 7th day. The university moved to hybrid class schedules for the rest of the semester due to security concerns. And in the past week, more than 150 people have been arrested over these protests. Across the country in New York, police in riot gear dismantled an encampment, and they arrested people accused of ignoring a deadline to disperse. And at nearby Columbia University, protests are on their 7th day. The university moved to a hybrid class schedule for the rest of the semester due to security concerns. And in the past week, more than 150 people have been arrested over these protests. And this comes as a $95 billion foreign aid package was just passed by the Senate. The House of Representatives passed the aid package over the weekend, and it includes $60 billion in aid to Ukraine, $26 billion for Israel, and $8 billion for Taiwan and Indo-Pacific allies. Now, the bill has received bipartisan support from Congress.
Send our friends abroad the aid they have long been waiting for. Let us not delay this.
So much of the hesitation and short-sightedness that has delayed this moment is premised on sheer fiction. Delay in providing Ukraine the weapons to defend itself has strained the prospects of defeating Russian aggression.
The bill also includes legislation that would ban TikTok if its Chinese parent company ByteDance doesn't sell the app within 1 year. Lawmakers cite data privacy concerns and the company's ties to the Chinese Communist Party. President Biden has said that he would sign the bill if passed. Now getting into your price points tonight, a tax that would add an annual fee on houses that sit empty in South Lake Tahoe could soon be moving forward. It's a story that we first brought you last month, and the group Locals for Affordable Housing has been gathering signatures to place what's called a vacancy tax on the November ballot. Now, owners of vacant houses that sit empty for more than 6 months out of the year would pay $3,000 for the first year and then $6,000 every year thereafter. It would also require every owner of a residential unit in the city to submit an annual declaration. And according to the text of the proposed initiative, the taxes imposed would fund more local housing, road and transit infrastructure, and other related programs. The group tells ABC 10 that they have received more than 2,400 signatures, and the votes are now being sent to the El Dorado County Elections Office for confirmation. And right now, a package of bills is making its way through the state legislature that could improve safety on California roads. According to the latest report from the California Office of Traffic Safety, more than 12,000 people died or got hurt in a car crash in Sacramento County just in 2021. So Senator Scott Wiener has introduced Senate Bill 961. It requires certain vehicles to be equipped with a speed assistance program. The system uses visual and audio signals to alert the driver if the vehicle is going more than 5 miles per hour over the legal speed limit. The senator says it is a common sense approach to prevent crashes.
There are people who don't necessarily intend to drive at an excessive speed, but they don't even realize it. And so this will alert them and help them drive, if not the speed limit, then at least close to the speed limit. And this will save lives.
The state senator also introduced Senate Bill 960. It requires Caltrans to improve streets, crosswalks, and curb extensions. The purpose is to better accommodate pedestrians, cyclists, and the disability community. Meantime, California lawmakers rejected a proposal that would crack down on how utilities spend customers' money. So this is the second time the bill has failed. It would have expanded what is considered prohibited advertising and political influence. It faced opposition from several utility companies, including PG&E. For now, utility companies are not allowed to use money from customers to pay for things like advertising or lobbying. Instead, they must pay for them with money from private investors. But consumer groups claim utilities are finding ways around those rules. And then Amazon, they say that they are ending their air drone delivery program in California and plans to close its site in Lockford. Now, the program began back in 2022 and they delivered packages right to people's backyards. Amazon says that current employees will be offered opportunities, and this doesn't mean that the drone program is completely over. Amazon plans to open more drone delivery sites in 2025. Next, on To the Point, meet the man behind the name of the new Stockton VA clinic. A new VA clinic is about to be unveiled to the public in Stockton, and it's named after a Stockton native who received the United States Armed Forces highest military decoration, the Medal of Honor. So coming up tomorrow on To the Point, we introduce you to Richard A. Pittman, the man behind the name of the new VA clinic, and share the story of how a pact made by 4 sisters led to their father's name being on that building.
There was no cause to him bigger than taking care of our veterans, making sure they had everything they earned.
Tomorrow on To the Point at 6:30, we sit down with 2 of those sisters who share how their father left his mark on our community. And I'm telling you, it is a story you do not want to miss. They had so many beautiful photos of their father. And I have to say, my face actually hurt from laughing. They were such a joy to hang out with, and we deeply appreciate the Pittman family. We cannot wait to share their story. But thank you so much for watching and for inviting us into your home. We love telling your stories. We love getting to meet you, just like we got to meet the Pittman family. So if you have something you think we should be looking into, make sure to reach out to me and the team. Remember, strangers are people we just haven't got the chance to know yet. So take the time to get to know someone. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, it's Alex. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. The To The Point team and I love hearing from you, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. And don't forget, you can always email me and the team at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send us a text message at 916-321-3310.